All right. Group number 6, you have the floor.
Sir, kita po ba yung screen?
Yes. Okay.
Dalawa po?
Yes.
Or ito lang? Okay. Wait lang po. So, hello everyone, we're group 6 and our topic for the our markdown is a short analysis about the stock prices of BDO Unibank Incorporation for 3 weeks, specifically February 15 to March 5. Then for the first part, we inserted a logo of BDO Bank. So, ito yung code niya. So, nilagay na lang namin yung file name instead of yung path niya. Then, since APA format, naglagay din kami ng figure 1. So, ni-manual na lang namin by inputting figure 1, BDO Unibank Incorporation. Then, nigitna namin, ginamit namin div align center para gumitna siya. So, ito yun. Then, nag-ano na kami, insert ng link. So, if pinindot mo yung Wikimedia and.dirat, mapupunta sa yung logo. Then yun. Then for next is company profile of BDO Incorporation. So this is a short background about BDO. Then for next is BDO, history of BDO. So short background then about their history, kung saan sila nag-start and yun, so on. Then, for more details about their history or milestone, we inserted a picture.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Iyan pa. Sir, nakat po ba?
No. I can
Okay.
hear you. How about your classmates? Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we could.
Yes, thank you. Please continue.
Okay. Then, again, we inserted this one to for APA format. Then for next is stock prices of BDO Unibank Incorporation. So the first one is a table. So we inserted this by using add-ins. There's insert table here. So yun yung ginamit namin. Then inedit na lang namin ng onte yung mga kailangan namin, like inserting a caption, then row names ginawa naming false, then nag-add kami ng library which is neatar para mag-run siya. Then for this one, dalawa yung code na nilagay namin for table since isang oldest to newest, which is February 15 to March 5, tsaka March 5 to February 15 kasi yung nag-start, meron kaming February 15 na start para sa plot, then yung March 5 is para lang makita, which is yung andito. Then yun lang. Then for next, open prices, si Wendy na. Wendy?
Scroll down yung sa left.
Wait lang.
Yung HTML.
Okay, sorry.
So, yung ginamit namin na code is plot table 1, $open, which means that yung info, kukunin namin from the table 1, yung open prices. And ginamit din namin yung as.date. Yan yung date na gagamitin namin. And yung format is month and date, which nakalagay sa chart. And the type is O, which is the point on the chart. And the X lab and Y lab is the X-axis and Y-axis title, which is the dates and the open prices. And yung Y-lim is yung sa Y-axis kung ano yung minimum amount and maximum amount. So, ginawa namin is yung isa is the evaluated is false and the other is true. Kaya yung sa HTML, isa lang lumalabas kasi the other one is false. So next, scroll down. Same lang yung ginamit namin for the closing prices, except yung table 1, dollar close, yung ginamit namin is the closing prices, but same lang yung lahat. So next. So for the comparison, yung closing and open prices, ginamit namin yung table for both, ni-merge namin. And then, same din type O, which is yung point sa mga graph. And then we change the color of yung two plots para mas makita. Yeah. And then the descriptions are below the plots.
So to analyze the stock prices, we use price to earnings ratio, which is a valuation ratio that compares the company's stock price to its earnings per share. It is used by investor to determine the relative value of a company's share. So here's the formula for PE ratio. So based on BDO stock data as of March 5, 2021, its share price is 110.80 and the earnings per share is 6.44. So to calculate the PE ratio, we just the share price or market value per share is divided by the earnings per share. So BDO's PE ratio is 17.20497.
So for yung mga equations na with Greek symbol, we use population mean and standard dev. So ang ginamit namin, we use the RStudio function, yung mean, to compute. So we don't have to manually compute for each data set. And then at same din sa standard dev, may function ng RStudio na SD to compute for the standard dev. And then we binase namin dun sa table sa taas to compute. So hindi na kailangan i-manual computation.
Then finally, we inserted conclusion for the overall analysis and inserted references. So yan lang. Thank you.
Okay. Can you run through your R Markdown ulit, guys? Ano yung what thing did you learn here which you'd like to select this sum, no? Which you'd like to share with your classmates? Tips on how to do your R Markdown.
Basically, nag-research talaga kami kung paano gumawa ng table since ayaw namin mag-manual kasi hindi siya kaya i-run if chunk. So nag-search talaga kami. Then for yung standard deviation, mga computation, binase namin sa class discussion ni sir. Then for the table, nag-research din kami on how to do it. Like meron isang kailangan mo mag-download, mag-insert ng insertable ata, insert a table. So for example, wait lang . So, if pinindot mo yung insert table, pwede mo siya wait lang. So from your Excel, pwede mo siya i-copy-paste here. So, mag-generate na lang siya mag-isa. So, yun lang. Then, para i-format yung mga justify, center, so, kailangan lang ng div align, center, or justified. So, yun lang po, sir.
Please go to your formula. Yung
Formula.
PE ratio.
Po, sir, wait. Here po.
Okay, so how did you generate that divisor?
Sir, which one po? Yung ito po.
Oo.
Yung kapag mag-generate kasi ng formula, you need double dollars para maging formula siya. So, if gagawa ka ng fraction, kailangan mo ng slash fraction. Then, ito yung share price, yung numerator. Then, EPS is yung denominator.
Okay, so clear yung class, no? That's how we generate a formula using a divisor. Tapos yung Greek nyo, yung sigma.
Greek. Wait lang po, sir.
Di ba may sigma yata
Here.
kayo sa baba?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sigma. Wait lang. So, sir, yung mu ba or sigma?
Yan yung formula na yun.
Yung mu. So, if mag-insert ng mu,
Sige, yung
so,
ano lang, yung sigma na lang para mas ano.
okay, wait lang.
Mas complex.
Sir, eto, sir.
Yan.
So, if mag-insert ka ng sigma, so, kailangan mo lang ng backslash ba tawag?
Yes, backslash.
Slash, then sigma. So, isa-spell out mo lang. Then, if kailangan mo ng square root, so SQRT. Then, since gusto mo maglagay ng fraction inside the square root, so kailangan mo ng parang ganito, na parang parenthesis, pero bracket lang siya. Then,
yung subscript, paano nyo linagay?
subscript, sir, ito po, sir, yung parang may arrow na pataas.
Superscript yan. Yung subscript, yung R sub I.
Okay. Underscore, sir. So, kailangan mo ng underscore, then bracket. Iba-bracket mo yung i-subscript mo.
Okay. Alright, and then yung dalawang dollar sign sa sa start and end, para sa inyan?
Para maging code siya, parang magbubuo siya ng formula talaga. Hindi siya like slash sigma na lalabas.
Kung isa lang dollar sign?
If isang dollar sign, hindi siya mag-work. So, kailangan talaga dalawa.
Mag-work pa rin siya, kaso
Hindi siya mag-run.
Inline lang pag isang dollar sign lang, guys. No? Pag
Okay.
$1 sign lang, inline lang siya. Ibig sabihin, part of the line siya na formula. Pag dalawang dollar sign, may separate, separate na output, na print out. It's a separate chunk ng print out. Okay? So, thank you so much, group number 6. Let's give a big hand to group number 6. Palakpak naman guys dyan sa end. Okay, cheer nyo naman sa group number 6, either through chat there.
Sir, we would like to volunteer for a third presenter po, group 2.
Ang next group 5, tapos may nag-isang volunteer na kanina.
Oh, next na lang kami.
Next kayo, okay? So let's hear it from group 5.
Hello guys, nakikita niyo ba yung file?
Yes, you can see it. Thank you, Arnel. By the way, guys, before I forget, sorry, Arnel, I'm going to create an assignment, guys, assignment sa Canvas kasi dun ko ilalagay yung grades nyo. Make sure to upload there the files that you uploaded dun sa G Drive natin para we can record your grades dito sa activity na to dun sa Canvas. Kasi I can't give you a grades for this if I don't put it in the assignment and link it to the marks section. Okay, so ano lang, reminder lang to everyone na I'm going to create that assignment folder and then i-post nyo na lang dun. Okay, thank you so much. Group number 5, please continue.
Sir, tanong lang, sir. Every person ba submit like or like isang
Oo,
member
every
ng bawat
person.
group?
Kung ano yung sinabit ng para may grade din yung lahat, no? So every person will post yung sinabit nyo. Pero syempre pare-pareho kayo ng group mates nyo. Para lang may record doon na you as an individual, you uploaded the file. Okay, group 5, please continue.
Okay, so good morning, sir. The title of our presentation is The Analysis of Mean, Standard Deviation, and Variance of Globe Telecom for the month of February 21, 2021. So we are Group 5, Tua, Francisco, Peralta, and Smith. So for our first element, we put an image of Globe, the logo, so EVA equals false, or equal equals false para hindi kita yung code sa file. Then figure a line centered. Then the size of our logo is 38%. Since there's no needed caption, we left the figure caption blank. Then for the file name of Globe, we just use the working directory. So yun lang yun, sir.
Did you include in the upload yung file na yan, PNG?
Yes po,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Doon po sa
Okay.
G Drive.
Alright, sige, thank you.
Okay, so for the company profile, we just used header 2, then put a brief background about Globe Telecom. So for the stock prices,
For the table for the stock price, we use CSV. So it is parang naka-table na siya, parang Excel file. So we make it data 1, and then we use a package called netar, and we use ktable data 1 to put the table into the code itself instead of like writing a long code.
So what's the meaning of align CCCC?
Align CCC, it's meant to center everything.
Okay. Okay, Lakas, hindi yata na rin nag-taper out yung voice niya.
Sir, ako na lang po. Sir,
Sige.
so ibig po sabihin ng CC na yan is a-align yung data na center. Kung palitan po natin to ng L, meaning po niyan yung data, sabihan po natin, yung column 1, gusto po natin gawing left, kung palitan ko lang po yung C ng L. Then kung R naman po for right.
Okay, so the CCCC there pertains to the columns, no?
Yes, alignment of the
Okay,
column.
of the columns.
Then scroll na po. So then for the analysis and computation, we would like to first determine yung categories present dito sa aming data. So renead po natin muna yung file. Then we assign categories to be names, parenthesis data 1. Then ito binigay niya po sa atin yung mga categories, itong pong 7. Kita po dito. Then hiningi din po natin yung summary statistics. Kaya nandito po yung meron po mga date, then class, mode, then yung kung number integer push, kung number po siya, meron din po yung mga minimum, maximum, first quartile, median. So na-generate po siya kung gawin natin summary, parenthesis, then pangalan ng data mo. Hello, naririnig po ba?
Yes.
Okay. Then, so for the formula na nagamit, so we actually use 3 formulas here, which are mean, standard deviation, population, and variance population. I gave emphasis on the population because iba ang formula ng standard deviation, sample, and variance sample. So the first formula that we actually used was the mean. So ano yung formula na mean? So yung mu na Greek letters equal to frac, then summation I is equal to 1 raised to n, then x over n, which is add mo lahat ng variables, then divide mo siya kung how many variables ang present dun sa data na yun. So if you want to learn more about the the mean or the statistical measure, we could click here. Then meron ma-generate na link. Click lang tayo dyan. Then, kung generate po natin yung mga mean, ito po yung code na yun. Echo is equal to false para hindi po makita yung code mismo. Kung generate po natin yan, ito pong lalabas. Ito pong 1, 2, 3, and 4. Did everyone see that ba?
Oo, kita.
Okay.
While you're there, group number 5, up nga Nel ng konti for the information of the class. Dun sa code natin.
Ay. Sir, saan pong code?
Dun na sa, akit mo lang ng konti. Sige, baba, no, go down. Dun sa mean.
Ito.
Sige pa. Dun sa formula nun. Yan, okay. Take a look, guys, on mean.data. They're creating an object called mean.data. And then mean. Okay, what's the use of the dollar sign there?
Para po yun lang po na certain data lang po ang i-account niya.
Okay.
Like for example po, for price, lahat lang po ng variables under price.
Kasi yung price variable yan, di ba? So may yung ano nila, yung data one, it consists of my date, my price, my open, my high, my low. No? So the dollar there, it's actually a subsetting, no? That's one way to subset. So yung object nila data one consists of several variables and price is one of them. So here they're saying that they're only going to get the mean of data one, specifically yung column na price. Okay, so we're going to meet that standard yan sa pag-identify ng a particular column in a data frame. So please continue.
Then, sir, lipat na po ako dun sa standard deviation.
Sige, go.
Okay, so to determine the standard deviation, we use the following formula is equal to sigma, yung Greek letter na to, is equal to square root. Yan, in-explain na rin ni Michelle yan kanina. Yung returns observed in one period, ito yung mga variables na isa-isa. Then yung mean, nakuha natin doon sa mean kanina. So if we want to learn more, we could just click on the link. We could just click on some links here, then ma-generate na po natin yan kung click na lang po natin yung link. Then ito po yung standard deviation. So for here naman po sa standard deviation, iba po yung ginamit nating formula. Hindi po siya yung formula na SD lang. Kasi if we actually use SD na formula lang, ang makukuha sagot yung standard deviation of a sample. Hinahanap natin here is population. So ito yung formula na ginamit. Kung kina-question nyo bakit may n rows parenthesis data 1, kinakount lang niya kung ilang variables ang meron. So kung na-generate na natin siya, n is 17. So may 17 na variables present. So kung generate natin yan, ito ang lalabas, yung 2.08, 2.36, ito. And for the third, makikita po natin yung variance. So ito po yung formula ng variance. Then if you want to learn more about variance, we could click on the links. And yung formula po ng variance is square lang po yung standard deviation natin. So ito po yung buong standard deviation. Then square lang po natin siya. So ang lalabas po is itong 4.34, 5.57, and the like. Then here po, if we want to plot the data, we could actually use plot data 1 para makita yung mga data. Pero it would be masyado siyang magulo. Kung tignan, masyado siyang magulo. So ginawa po nating eval false para hindi po siya makita. So wala po siya dito. Understand?
Okay, so for the plot, ayun, makikita mo yung ginawa namin, apat. So price, open, high, and low. And basically, they're all similar. So first we assign data 1 to be read by the file. And then for the plot, data 1 price. So for the x-axis, we did trading day. And then for the y-axis, we did yung stock price in Philippine peso. So you can see the downward trend. And then after that, we inserted a short explanation or interpretation about it.
Okay, up sandali while you're there. Okay, what's PCH? Dun sa code
Sir,
natin.
PCH po is yung pwede po natin siya i-edit yung mga plots po.
Okay, PCH is anong ibig sabihin ng PCH?
Point center H is
Or your plot character, no?
plot character, yes.
PCH refers to plot character. Yung 15 doon, subukan nyo nga palitan yung number dyan, kunyari. Para
Sir,
makita
nakapalit po siya. Ito po 15, yung isa po 16.
Okay. So nakita nyo guys yung mga plot character. Hindi, Arnel, kunyari palitan mo yan tapos i-run mo. Gawin mo kunyari 2. What will 2 give us?
Dito po sa pangalawa
sige.
na open.
Okay, sige.
Yan, triangle na walang shade.
Triangle, ano? So, iba't ibang plot characters. I think it's up to, 25 ba? Subukan mo nga 25.
25.
Baka wala, hindi nata 25. Sige.
Meron, baliktad naman po.
Meron, 25. Basta may limit yan, no? Hindi yan up to thousands. No? Okay, sige. Thank you.
And then for the next one, we did for the open price. So it's another plot again. And then for this one, hello?
Yes?
Sorry, sir. Hindi niyo po ba na ako narinig?
Kanina hindi.
Okay. So for the open price plot, it's similar for the first one na ginawa namin. So yun nga, yung plot data 1 open, tapos yung
We're losing you again.
Sir, sige, continue ko na lang po.
Sige. Sorry ah.
on.
Oo. Who's that? Sino yung nagre-report kanina?
Si
Ako po,
Kirsten
sir.
po.
Kirsten, sorry. Nawawala ka eh. I don't know if you were just, if you stopped talking or...
Yeah, sorry.
Oo. Sige, please continue kung sino man.
Sige po, sir. Wait lang. Okay, so for yun nga po, sir, similar ulit yung open data price. Can you scroll up sa, Ayan. So yun nga, we did yung data 1 read by the file, tapos we put the plot data 1 open, and then the title was February 2021 stock price data open. And then for the x-axis was trading day, and the y-axis was stock price in Philippine peso. And then the PCH was 16 for this one.
Question for the class. Bakit may space dun sa comma? Would it have mattered if you just type comma and then PCH? Kasi pag may ganyan, comma, ibig sabihin merong code dyan na hindi nyo linagay, no? So would it have mattered? I-run mo nga yan. Di ba pareho lang? So I was wondering why there was comma and then another comma. It generated the same result. However, parang useless siya, no? Kasi between the commas, there's nothing there. So I will not read anything there, no? So, tanggalin na lang yon. Okay, just a comment here, guys. So ito ang ginagamit nila. Anong package ang ginagamit dito? Group 5. Dito sa pag-plot nyo. This is
Sir,
just
we
your
just use unit R lang po.
base
Cable
R lang
unit
yan ha, base R. By next week guys, hopefully we'll already start learning about another very powerful package. So I encourage you to already start watching videos about it. ggplot2. It's really more powerful than just using the base R. Sige, please continue.
And then after that, we put another short explanation sa baba. And then it just said that it was a downward trend. And at the first half of the month, as you saw in the plot table, it was very scattered, like the prices were going up and down. And then after the first half of the month, it continued to go downwards. And then for the third plot, we did was the February 2021 stock price data high. Again, it's similar to the previous plot. So plot data 1 high. And then for the x-axis, it's the trading days. And then for the y-axis, it's the stock price in Philippine peso. And then after that, we put another short interpretation about it. So basically, it just tracked the highs of the stock price per day. And it was also seen that it was decreasing throughout the month with minor fluctuations that you can see sa plot. And then for the final one, it was the February 2021 stock price data low. So plot data low. And then for the x-axis, it's the same trading day. And then for the y-axis, it's the stock price in Philippine peso. And then as you can see, we just changed the PCH around each plot. And then we put a short explanation after about the lows in the stock, which showed the minimum price per period or per day. And you could also see sa plot naman, it's a downward trend for the rest of the month, as similar to other plots. And then after that, we put yung references lang sa baba.
Okay, anything more, group 5?
That concludes the presentation po. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Group 5. Palakpakan natin ang Group 5. Okay, very good report, Group 5. Comprehensive siya. Sorry, isang question lang. Balik tayo dun sa sa R markdown. Could you kindly present that again, please? Yung R markdown.
Okay po, sir. Wait lang. Here po.
As an additional information to your classmates, what here did you learn most about that you'd like to share with your classmates? Anong feature ng R markdown dito?
For me siguro na yung Excel file na minsan na-generate natin sa net, pwede mo na agad ipasok dito kaysa i-manual mo pa gumawa ng table.
Okay.
Paparead mo lang siya.
Okay. But there you're reading a CSV file, ano?
Yes
Paano
po.
ko ang babasahin yung Excel file?
EXE po ata to or ano?
So read that XLSX, no?
XLA.
But you should if you are reading from an Excel file, you should be installing anong package?
Hindi po ako sure.
Dapat may package kayo. Guys, pag Excel file kunyari ang ibabasahin nyo, no? May nag-answer ba? Yeah, correct. Thank you, Dan. It's subukan mo i-install, Arnel. Install, lagay mo. Read XL. Ayan, yan. Ito yung package na kailangan naka-install if you're going to read from an Excel file. Otherwise, kung hindi naka-library yan, kung hindi naka-require, mag-error pag binabasa natin yung Excel file. Alright? So thank you so much. Again, group number 5. Okay, that was a comprehensive report. Thank you. Okay, then we have group number. Sino yung nag-volunteer kanina?
Group 3, sir.
Group 3. Sige, group 3, please.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
okay. So,
All right. Getting right to it, sir. Our group will be presenting about capital asset pricing modeling, and our group is made up of me, Avad, Rojas, and Teves, and we're displaying all of this together with a date just through YAML. And we proceed with a page break, which you can see on the left side is just 5 asterisks. And here it's just a discussion about what CAPM is, and it's a statistical model that describes the risk and the expected return of an asset. After this discussion, we proceed to a heading, which is the assumptions, and we just list the assumptions through putting the numeric and the period, and it indents right away. So first up, we have the unsystematic risk eliminated from CAPM. Second, it's that investors can lend, invest, and borrow any amounts. Third, taxes and other transaction fees are not accounted here. Fourth is that all data information about the stock prices are open to the investors. Last one is that the investor doesn't have an appetite for risk. Our next heading is limitations, and Ariane will be presenting that.
Good afternoon, sir. Now let's proceed to the limitations of CAPM formula. To summarize the CAPM limitations, it only means that most of the assumptions are unrealistic, beta coefficient is unstable, verifying period to period depending upon the method of compilation. They may not be reflective of the true risk involved. For the CAPM formula, CAPM is equals to risk-free rate of interest plus sensitivity expected return of the market minus the market premium rate.
Hello, group 3. Hello. I think we lost you. Class, can you hear group number 3?
No po, sir.
Yeah, group
No,
3.
sir.
I think we lost you, group number 3.
hello, sir. Sorry, sir. Can you
Yes.
hear me now, sir?
Oh, yes, Kenneth.
Okay, okay.
Ah.
So,
Okay, sige.
yes, po, sir.
Ken, pakiano nga, could you kindly
Yes, sir.
increase the width of the arm markdown? I-minimize
Okay.
na lang yung yung console.
Okay, okay.
Yan, okay. Sige.
Here you go, sir.
Baka pwede mo pang increase yung yan kasi hindi I can't see it eh.
Okay, okay.
Yan.
Let's kahit yung HTML na lang. Okay, ano.
Sa tools kaya, you can still increase the sa
Okay,
tools
okay.
and global options.
Global options.
Okay, siguro sa appearance. Yan, i-zoom yan. Kaya natin yung zoom. There.
Okay.
Okay, there, better. Yan, thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Okay, so continuing on. So CAPM in action. So here we made a case. So that we could use CAPM or like apply CAPM. So to evaluate which stock would generate a greater return between Apple and Microsoft, CAPM formula was used. According to JP Morgan 2021, their strategies are forecasting the market to rise at a 10% increase in value for the year 2021. With a risk-free rate detailed to be 1.56% both for Apple and Microsoft, the market return premium amount to a rate of 8.44%. That's from gurufocus.com 2021. So shown below is a table of Apple and Microsoft stock performance compared to the US stock market index for the month of January 2021. So these are from the adjusted returns from each stock price. So this is the S&P 500, which is the index of the U.S. stock market. This is the Apple Inc. Stock prices. These are all the returns, and then this is Microsoft Corporation. Okay, so for the plots, may I call on Justin?
So for the plots, can you yung sa code paki-scroll na lang.
Okay.
So
Sure.
first we installed yung package na Pander. Then we assigned the data from yung first yung yung the CAPM data, yung SP500, Microsoft and Apple as X. Then below we had we also assigned yung per column. So Apple is X $, Apple Inc. column from the data. Then we plotted it as SP500 was the X, what was included in the x-axis, then the Apple one is in the y-axis. Then to also have
Sandali who's controlling the mouse there? Ikaw ba, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
May I suggest that kung ano yung dinidiscuss, i-point mo yung, para
Okay,
alam
sir.
ng classmates kung anong kung ano na yung code na dinidiscuss nyo. Okay, before you continue, what's the package Ponder for?
Sir, it's to read the data.
Okay. So next time, guys, reminder lang, pag nag-install kayo ng package, at least tell your class kung what's this package for, para may idea lang yung class kung saan ginagamit yun and what's the importance of that. Okay, so please continue.
Then we also put abline, open close parenthesis LM, which is linear model, para magkaroon ng yung linear line here. Tapos below the code we also have LM Apple, then yung SP500. That's only to see yung solution for if tama yung nakuha naming slope. So if you would run the data, then so yan yung lalabas, yan yung data namin from the CSV. Then if you would also run here, ito yung naging plot. Then after that, we would see that these are the coefficients. So 0.001 yung intercept, then SP500 yung since SP500 yung sa x-axis, yung kasama niya is yung 1.03, which is the slope, which is our beta.
Okay. Ano lang, mag-add lang ako ng para for the information of the class. Could you kindly give a name to that regression function, yung LM? Nalagay natin mod 1. Mod 1. Okay, so here we're creating, group 3 is creating an object called mod 1, and it's the linear model where Apple is your dependent variable regressed on S&P 500. So later on, guys, week number natin, baka 8 or 9, depends. We're going to learn about multiple regression, simple regression, multiple regression. So this is the code to regress a variable Apple on another variable, independent variable S&P. Pakiran mo nga yan. Okay, so it will not generate anything, it will not tell us anything, pero meron na siya sa ilalim na no? If you take a look at the environment, meron tayong object na mod 1. Okay, okay lang yun, no? May mod 1 yan, mod 1. And then, isummary mo nga yung Ken? Isummary mo yung mod. So, balik na tayo sa code. RMD file. Summary mo. Summary, isulat mo lang dyan, summary mod 1. Sige, i-run mo yan. Okay, so here guys, you have the regression output, no? Sa R. So, andyan dyan yung mga residuals, andyan dyan yung mga value sa mga coefficients nyo. Okay? Andyan yung value andyan yung intercept, yung 1.037. No? Andyan din yung standard error, t-value, yung probability, yung p-value niya. We're going to discuss this in greater detail when we go to regression. But I'm happy this group used the LM function in order to, they were able to determine the slope. Okay, yun yung beta, no? yung beta na dinidiscuss nila, which is used in CAPM. Okay, so sorry, sige, please continue.
So we also did this for the Microsoft part naman to compare it and to also find yung beta ng Microsoft since we use raw data from the stock prices before then of January. So yun, same lang din. Ang difference lang here is yung the one included in the y-axis is Microsoft. Then yun din yung linear model namin kanina Apple, ngayon Microsoft na. So we also use that to check if tama yung beta namin. Then we put
Okay, while you're there, so ang beta ni Microsoft is 1.0088, si Apple 1.0377. So
Yes
could you
po.
kindly interpret what that means? Ano yung ibig sabihin ng 1.0377 na yun?
That means that Apple stocks, every increase in Apple stocks will has a 1.0377 effect on the market.
Baliktad,
Then
baliktad.
sorry, baliktad
So for
pala.
every 1%
Sorry.
change in the market, Apple will increase by 1.0377%, no?
Okay,
So
yes,
your
sir.
beta is the effect on your stock on any change in the market. Ang market natin dito si S&P 500. So sinasabi diyan sa beta na yan, pag si market, si S&P 500 tumaas ng 1%, Apple will increase by 1.0377%. On the other hand, Microsoft will only increase by 1.0088%, no? So mas sensitive si Apple sa market kaysa kay Microsoft. Okay, ibig sabihin mas risky si Apple. Okay? Okay yan kapag upward yung market, bullish yung market. Pero kapag downtrend yung market, bearish, for every 1% loss in the market, mas malaki yung percent loss ni Apple. Okay, class gets? So this is a combination of our markdown at saka yung concept ng finance. Sorry, I couldn't resist already discussing it kasi importante din yung concept ng beta sa finance, no? Okay, so please, group 5, please continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Okay, so now that we've gotten the beta from the slopes of the two variables, the Apple and Microsoft. So here's our table to summarize our data. So here we applied the use of the image of displaying the image and also displaying the link. So in our table, what we did already was this is Apple Inc. This already links you to the Apple website, as you can see here, and then Microsoft as well. So continuing on, the next part of our table was also to add on the logos of each corporation. And then we also applied the dollar signs to show the symbols of the different characters. So beta, backslash beta gives you the beta sign, and then underscore I gives you a subscript version of the I. And then we placed the 1.0377, the beta of Apple, and 1.0088, the beta of Microsoft Corporation. One thing we noticed during the creation of this table was that in order to center align the data, you could actually just place these two dots at the end of your made table, and then they would easily align your data or the things you input as a center align. Okay, so next for the expected return.
Sorry, Ken, kasi baka makalimutan ko mamaya. I'd like to commend the group for inserting this icon. No? It's a good way to present your table. Later on, guys, ang gagamitin natin, we will learn how to use Cable Extra. It's a very powerful package on how to create tables. So maganda to, pero with Cable Extra, guys, mas maganda pa yung table na ma-generate natin. So we're going to learn that. But thank you. And then thank you for pointing that out, Ken, that you can center align it by adding these two columns, no, in the at the beginning and at the end of your dashes. So please continue.
For the expected return, we use the formula COPM is equals to risk-free rate of interest plus sensitivity, open parenthesis, expected return of the market minus market premium rate. wherein ERI stands for Capital Asset Expected Return, RF stands for risk-free rate of interest, BI is equals to the sensitivity, ERM is the expected return of the market, while the RF is the market premium rate.
Okay, so now to apply these formulas, so what we actually did was this. So we used a chunk, which is R echo false, and then we made two variables. So in order for R to evaluate this for us, so we had these values, and then we just place it in. So it's 100 times 0, the quantity of 0.0156 plus the quantity of 1.0377 times the quantity of 0.10 minus 0.0156. And then for Microsoft CAPM, that would be 100 times the quantity of 0.0156 plus the quantity of 1.0088 times the quantity of 0.10 minus 0.0156. So in order to apply this, we actually found out another way to put an inline, to print it out inline, our objects. So in order to print this out, so this is just a normal text, this part, but this part naman, we had to use this object. And then whenever we tried it out, it would always give us a decimal answer, and then it would always run to around 10.3 to 317878787. So we had to round it off somehow. So we found out this function. So it's round quantity apple cap m, comma 2. So 2 means there would be only 2 decimal places that would be used. Afterwards, we could place the percentage symbol. So that's where we got the percentage sign over here. So adding the 2 asterisks, we would be able to bold it out. So overall, so our conclusion is after letting R solve for the expected return, so we see that Apple has a higher expected return in this case, which has 10.32%, which is the expected return, and a 10.07 expected return for Microsoft Corporation. So our conclusion to this is that using the CAPM, it showed that Apple Inc. is relatively close to Microsoft Inc.'s expected return, but we can see that Apple may generate a higher expected return. So we should probably go with Apple if ever we're going to choose between the two stocks in this scenario. So aside from this, these are our references. So we also found out here that in order to put a tab here, you can just put this line and then just place it there, tapos tab siya. Tapos yun, magta-tab dito. Because like we couldn't figure that out also the other day. So that's all for our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions, class? Which, by the way, group number 3, that's the APA format, no? Naka-tab yung ano yung reference, no? Okay, so just by comment on what Ken said a while ago, that the Apple returns was higher, a bit higher than Microsoft. This is to be expected because in CAPM, constant yung risk-free rate, constant yung expected return of the market, and then you're just multiplying it by the beta. So yung risk premium multiplied by beta. Ano nga, Mark, Ken, yung formula? Yan, the expected return. Okay, sige. Dito na sa output na lang. Dito sa output natin sa R. On the right side, Ken.
This one, sir.
And dito, yan. Expected return yan. Sa taas, yung formula mismo.
Okay, this one.
Okay, so tinan nyo class yung formula na to, di ba? So for Apple and Microsoft, constant lang naman yung risk-free rate kasi the risk-free rate is a function of the 90-day T-bill yan. So it's the same for Apple and Microsoft. The expected return of the market is also constant for both. So itong function na to, itong expected return of the market minus risk-free rate, this is the same for both Microsoft and Apple. So what's different? The only thing that's different is your beta. And beta is a measurement of the riskiness of the asset. So based on our computation, based on the group's computation, mas mataas yung beta ni Apple, 1.003 ba? Okay?
Yes, sir.
So the higher the beta, guys, indicates that it assumes a higher risk. And consistent with the fundamental principle of finance that risk and return principle, that the higher the risk, the higher is the assumed return. Okay, so people investing in Apple, since they are, from this data, since they are assuming a greater amount of risk, has to be compensated with a greater amount of returns. No? Kaya expectedly guys, mas malaki talaga yung returns ni Apple kaysa kay Microsoft kasi nga mas malaki yung risk na ina-assume natin. And yung risk, sabi natin guys, is a function of the volatility of the returns, no? As measured by the slope, yung slope ng plot ng Apple and Microsoft as compared to the S&P 500. Okay? Now, another comment dito sa code nyo,
Yes, sir.
Ken, dito sa 112.113. Okay. 112.113.
Here. Yes,
Do you think it would have been better, instead of typing their absolute numbers, to just use names? Kunyari yung 01156 na yan. Ano ba yung 0156?
Oh, it's this one, sir. It's the RF.
Oh, RF. But were you able to, in your code, did you give that a name? Did you create an object?
Oh, no, sir. We didn't.
So siguro mas maganda kung nag-create kayo ng object na may pangalan na ganun, and then use the name of the object there, di ba?
Okay, sir.
That way, class, nakikita niyo yung sinabi ko. Kunyari, you assign that name or ERF, no? O RF, kunyari. Sige.
Okay. 0.0156.
Yan. And then use that name in the formula. That way, mas intuitive siya, no?
Okay, sir.
Yan, di ba? ERF. Yan. Nakikita nyo guys, ano ba yung number na yun? Ito kunyari, okay. yung 1.377, pwedeng beta A or beta Apple, etc. Whatever. So it's more intuitive kasi nakikita nyo kung ano yung mga numbers niyan instead of just absolute values. All right? So once again guys, thank you so much. Group number 3. Let's give a big hand to group number 3. Thank you. Ako lang pumapalakpak.
Thank you,
Chat
sir.
naman kayo guys ng cheer sa group number 3.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yay!
Woo! Woo! Yan, good.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, that's too nice. Okay, sino next? Yung group number ano na?
2.
Group number 2.
Sir.
Sige.
Yes, sir.
Group number 2, you may present now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Please introduce your group members.
Okay, sir. Sorry. Oh my God. Hindi yan. Sorry. Okay, this first. So we are group number 2, and the members are Simon Chen, Ann Guzman, me, Mitch Kozai, and Audrey Reyes of FINSTAD K33. So this is our R-Mark program. Simon, you can proceed with the introduction.
Hello, everybody. Again, we are Group 2, and thank you for coming here today to listen to our performance. Now, may I direct your attention to the RHTML, the introduction. Yes. So the story, why we picked Netflix. When the first few cases of COVID-19 emerged in Wuhan, China, last year, people and markets and the financial markets became more volatile, not knowing what can happen in the span of a couple of months. At the end of March 2020, more than 100 countries have begun lockdown to constrain the effects of the coronavirus. But a few companies managed to thrive in these unknown markets. The most famous is obviously Zoom, the software program that we're using right now. When millions of people around the world are stuck in their homes, they lack for the sort of entertainment, and Netflix rise because the stock price of Netflix rise because of this. In just last year alone, Netflix subscription grew by 37 million in the year, dwarfing their 2018 record. Now, may I direct your attention to the RMD. What we first did is the analysis of the Netflix stock price performance prior and during lockdown in R. We used the heading 1 because that's the title. You want it to be bigger. You want it to be as big as possible. The 3 asterisks is as we all know, the first asterisk is italic. The 2 asterisks is bold. If you combine it by 3, you can combine the both function. Now, as you see the 3 asterisks in the middle, that's the divider. Sorry. What's so great about the our studio is that you can use HTML codes, as you can see in the center, and also you can use BR, which is line break. Yes, scroll up please. The asterisk, the exclamation point. What? The exclamation point is a function syntax that you can use to upload images on the web or local files in the same directory. Down please. That's the text. To see the stock report of Netflix, that's the link function that allow you to use link from online. And thank you. That's my part.
Okay, so for us to be able to present and run our course, we first activated certain packages through netar and used the library function. We've also made sure to set echo, warning, and message to false so that these would be hidden in the HTML file. So the first package is quant mode, which is the quantitative financial modeling framework, which is a prototype environment with comprehensive tools for data management and visualization to assist quant traders. Then we've used Cable Extra, which is used to help build common complex tables and manipulate table styles. And an advantage of this is that it is good for the use of HTML and PDF. And lastly, the package of BPYLR, which is used for customizing rows and columns, wherein you can edit the data or even the name of the columns and arrange it.
Okay, just a little bit added there. Dplyr is used for like, manipulating data for like rows, columns. You can change the data because in the next chunk code that we'll see here, we actually use getsymbols.yahoo. We didn't use a Excel file or CSV file. What we use is a wrapper tool to load the data from various sources, local or remote, and the source that we use is Yahoo. So this function came from the package called quant mode. These three have to be installed before we get to function it in a library code, of course. And then what we get here is this one. This is the output from the internet. It's connected and then it becomes hassle-free, especially for those who are getting stock data instead of having to download such various number of files. You can just get it from a certain local directory. And then we associated with the name NFLX, which is the market name for Netflix, so that it's easier to see or locate the data here and it's more organized. And then we use the word DT to refer to date. So we have date 1, date 2. Date 1 refers to the first month or January 1. This is the month. The format for this is year, month, and date. So it starts at January 1, 2020, and then date 2 refers to June 30, 2020. So we're looking at the combination of the two periods that we want to focus on for our report, which is the quarter before lockdown and the first quarter during lockdown. And then as we can see here, Netflix is the symbol in Yahoo Finance that they will locate for this data. And from, which means the beginning date, as you can see here, since the data doesn't have for January 1, they started with January 2, so it doesn't really matter. It's just it's based on the stock data or history, and 2 means the end date for this certain data set. So if we go down here, you'll see that it ends in June 29, which means that there's no data for June 30 yet. And then auto assign means we made it false, or F, you can turn it into a capitalized false, which means it is an auto assignment in case that the symbol NFLX can't be seen. So we placed it F so that it can't be associated with anything else. And then the next chunk code that we'll see here is we're going to start with our first part of the report, which is the prior lockdown stock performance, so that it's easier to divide the data, because this one is a combination of both the periods that we are looking into. This refers to the prior period, which is the quarter before lockdown, which is January to March 31, 2020. And it's just the same here. And then this is the table wherein we use the package Cable Extra. Okay, so here we used another HTML code for center. Uh, the previous groups mentioned like formatting code like div, but using HTML codes as well can be very useful and handy, and it makes the code look more simpler and easy to follow, since we learned this like in grade school. So that's one of our realizations throughout this report, is that we can use certain HTML codes to make the data more organized. And then here we have another chunk code. We placed echo false so that you won't see the code here, and then it gives like a more clear, more cleaner output. And then we have DF. DF refers to the Netflix prior period. We just use DF so that when we place it here in the DL that we'll use as data for our table, it won't be as chunky as putting all this, because we just need in the Netflix prior, we just need two of these columns, which is the opening prices and the closing prices. The rest is not significant for our report. So that's what we wanted to do. And then we use the cable function. The cable function is a it's a simplest HTML code for a table, and we use DL, which is a data frame for, again, we use specific columns from the data set that we sourced from. And then this code refers to a piping syntax, which becomes like an expression of this particular code. So if you add this, the expression below becomes indented automatically because it refers, or it applies to the code that is connected to. And this comes with the deployer program that is at the deployer package. That's why we installed it prior, because we can't this will become an error if we don't install it. And then, as mentioned a while ago by Sir, the cable extra, this cable styling, there are various types of cable. Like here, you can add different, there are different words to it, or functions that you can use to customize your table to make it look more simpler or more organized or more consistent with your report. And you don't have to do like, in the previous group, you can see the manual table. That is also advisable, like it's okay, but it's more better to use like a cable function because it makes it more easier to manipulate data. And as you can see here, we don't have to put like certain like each input. We don't have to do that. It's just connected in one data set. And then the bootstrap options, we have the striped, as you can see. Again, the cable with the key is used for table customization in any way, style or font you like. I'm sorry. And then we have the font size is 10, and then the full width is false, which just means like it's gonna make it full width, but we don't really have to do that. It's not necessary. And then again, as we use the HTML code here, we need, in HTML, we have to close it so that it doesn't continue throughout the whole thing. So we use the backdash sign to close the center option. So as you can see here, it goes back. Yeah. And next is Anne.
Summary of Netflix prior lockdown stock performance. So in order for us to print the formula and solving for the mean, we've used this code indicated in the chunk. It is important to include the so-called latex equation, which use the $$ symbol before this code so that the equation formula would be shown. Then for solving the mean itself, we've used the inline equation, r round, then the function of mean, then we've inserted the variable, then we've inserted the data Netflix.prior, $sign Netflix.close. So we've included the $sign so that the data will be from the column of closing prices. We've also rounded up the result of the mean to 2 decimal places, resulting to a mean of 353.42 for the closing prices of Netflix stocks prior lockdown. Then, similar to the mean, in order to print the formula in its equation form for the standard deviation, we will also use the code placed in this chunk, and place the latex symbol before and after. Then for solving the standard deviation itself, we've also used the inline equation R round, the function of the standard deviation SD, and then inserted the data Netflix.prior and Netflix.close. We've rounded the result to 2 decimal places, resulting to a standard deviation of 21.02 for the closing price of Netflix stocks prior lockdown. And then lastly, for the summary, we've used the summary function, inserting Netflix.prior, $sign Netflix.close to get the results. We've equated both eval to false to hide the results, and another one which is echo to false to hide the chunk code.
And in addition to that, we didn't use, this is for the requirement of chunk code evaluated and chunk code that is not evaluated. And this is the example for the chunk code that is not evaluated, which means that the code will not run. As you can see here, you can just see the code in a box, which means that the code was not run or evaluated. However, here we didn't have to put eval true because it is in default. If we look at the R Markdown cheat sheet that Sir provided, we can see the default options of these following. That's why we have to use echo false, because if we didn't put that, we will see this particular code in this table, in this box. So no.
The chart series function comes with the quant mode package. The chart series is a useful tool for all finance students using our lockdown. It's a charting tool to create standard financial charts given a time series. It serves as the base function, includes candles, matches, bars, and lines. As you can see, you take a look at the chart. From January to February, the stock was extremely stable. But during the March, when lockdown affected 100 plus countries, the stock tanked, and then investor sentiments decided that Netflix was a good stock to buy in 2020, so the stock rebound immediately. Thank you.
So next, we're gonna evaluate Netflix stock performance during lockdown. So the dates we picked was from April 1 to June 30, 2020, and we assigned these dates into objects DT3, DT4, which is shown from DT3 to DT4. So next, we also generated a table of the opening and closing prices. So as mentioned before, we also used the cable function in order to generate the table and customize the table according to what we like. So next. So in order to evaluate the performance of Netflix price during the lockdown, we use the statistical measures of mean and standard deviation, and similar to what we computed or what was shown in the prior lockdown, we also presented the equation, and the mean that was computed during the lockdown was 425.14, and this is higher than the mean that was computed prior lockdown. And this meant that the closing prices of the stocks, basically, they performed better during the lockdown. Next, as for the standard deviation, we also printed the equation using the latex equation symbols, and then the price that was computed was the standard deviation rather for the closing price during lockdown was 24.79, which was higher than the measured standard deviation prior to the lockdown. And this means that the recorded closing price of the stocks for during the lockdown were more widely spread, which meant that it also increased the stock's volatility. So next, we also presented a table for basically the mean and standard deviation of Netflix prices, and we used the summary function in order to generate the table presented here. That's all.
Okay, so to have like a more, to have the complete analysis of both, connecting now the prior period, which is the quarter before lockdown and then the first quarter during lockdown, we now have the comparative analysis of Netflix stock performance. So what we used here is a simple line chart that we can see, and we use the plot function, which comes with the default R program. And then again, to make it easier to put the codes, we just we named the data for Netflix, particularly the Netflix closing prices, which is this one. We just need this one. That's why we use the $sign as mentioned or tackled a while ago by Sir, and then we just renamed it into Netflix close because it'll also like name the table here. So what you put in here in this part will also affect both the data and the title itself. So that's why we have to rename it. And then the color, this means call equals meant the color of the line. So we used red 4. You can search for the colors in the internet. I found like a PDF document of all the colors that you can use in our Markdown or HTML colors, basically. We also have the typo, which I think the type of the dots in there, and the XLab, which refers to the date. I don't know why it didn't show anymore, but
Can you share that PDF file for the benefit of the class?
Yung color, sir?
Oo, yung mag-insert na lang kayo dito ng ano. Is it there in your reference? Is it there?
Oh, sir, hindi po na sa reference.
Isulat nyo na
Nasa
lang, ha?
bookmark, sir.
Sige.
Should I open it, sir?
Sige, sige.
Wait lang, sorry. Huwag niya tingnan yung... Wait, color.
Ayun, our color, PDF.
Yes, sir. Here, yan. Colors in our... Wait lang, sorry.
Did you include this as a file in the documents that you submitted?
Yes, sir.
Sige. Okay. So,
yes, sir.
class
Ayan,
for,
guys. Yan lang yung
for reference, no? For reference.
Yes, sir. And then this is what we use, red 4. So what you put in the call equals, this is, ito lang ilalagay nyo, guys, yung name. Anywhere, that is all readable. So you have like, yan. And then the PCH, which is again discussed by Sir a while ago, which is plot character. One thing that I've noticed here or realized is that I was trying to manipulate this and trying to see what it refers to. And then when I put it in 10, it became more of like a circle that is not filled. I don't know why. And then when I placed it to 30, it became an error. So I think that's the limit that Sir was referring to.
Yes.
But I think below 20 would be okay. But at around 30, it then starts to error na siya. Hindi na siya mag-read. So it's not gonna make a table anymore. We can actually do it. Wait lang. I know I placed it at 30. See?
Tingnan mo, 28. I'm not sure kung up to how many plot characters there are. Na-determine ko na dati yung kaso. 27 siguro, tingnan natin. Wala pa rin, no? Baka 25 tayo kanina eh. Nag-run siya ng 25.
Oh, okay. Pwede pa.
Pwede pang 25. 26 nga. 26 para alam natin. I think 26. So wala na. Up to 25 lang, no?
Yes, sir.
25. Okay.
Pangit
ang 25, gawin mo 20. Balik mo sa 20.
20, sir.
Mas maganda.
Pangit na ba, sir?
Ang pangit to, di ba? Magulo.
Yes, sir.
That's better.
Yeah, yes, sir. Ganyan. So, wow, cool. So for the analysis of this, this just basically concludes or summarizes the realizations a while ago with the mean closing prices and prior lockdown prices, closing stock prices of Netflix. Again, a while ago, it was mentioned that during lockdown, it was higher than the prior one. And this is basically a more better visual view of how it increased or like the impact of those means or even the standard deviation. As you can see here, firstly, it is lower than this part, which is like already, this is the first quarter during lockdown and then the first quarter, and the quarter before lockdown. And you can also see the wide, how the data is spread. So it just shows that the standard deviation here is lower than this part, which means that the data is more spread, which means the market is more volatile. So yeah, it just justifies that the demand for Netflix during lockdown was higher, which meant a positive impact or a surge in the growth of the Netflix stock performance, which is also our conclusion, which though there is an evident higher market volatility with the standard deviation, Netflix was still able to increase its market value, which in turn is beneficial to the company as a whole, as well as its stakeholders, such as stockholders, customers, or anything, paving the way for Netflix to become a more potential and attractive looking investment. So here in the code, you can see we used header 3 again, and then a divider, which was discussed a while ago, and we use another option for bold so that we can just, play with the codes and stuff. You can use double asterisks or double underscores. And then here we use the list option, which is asterisk space. It's important to put space because if you don't put space, it will just become a normal asterisk and not a bullet point. So that's one thing to note as well that I want to share with you guys, na kailangan may space. Kasi kapag walang space, it'll just form into a normal text with the asterisk and ang pangit niya tingnan. So yeah. Get it, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Maybe you can also combine it with what Ken presented a while ago para naka-indent yung kasi pag APA dapat naka-indent yung next lines.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's give the group a big hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Palakpak naman dyan, guys. Palakpak. Okay, so it's already time. So yung next 4 groups will present their report next Monday. What I'm going to do, guys, by the way, comment muna. Excellent work, group number 2. I'm happy that you introduced quant mode. That's what I'm actually discussing in an elective called fin mode. So there's an elective now, fin mode. Unfortunately, guys, wala masyadong takers. Dadalawa lang yung mga fin students. I don't know why. Bakit takot yung mga fin students, no? In taking modeling. Oo nga eh. Oo nga. Hopefully this batch of students know better the importance of using R and so dun sa subject na yun sa fin mode, panay quant mode kami doon at sa performance analytics. We look at stocks, we look at their prices, returns, monthly, daily, etc. Then we model portfolio analysis, variance, covariance, etc. So napakagandang elective. However, among the fin students, dadalawa lang yung nag-enroll. So nalungkot lang ako, pero ganun talaga, no? So, but still, we're continuing with it as a special class. So, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yun. Okay, so, okay, Bern, okay, good. Sabi mo, salamat ha. Now, ang dami ko sanang magandang i-comment dun sa grupo kasi like yung sinasabi ko kanina, I've been talking about yung cable extra a while ago. It's really more powerful to use cable extra than just manually formatting your table. Pero pwede naman yun, no? But as we learn more, guys, mas maganda talaga yung cable extra. So the group used yung quant mode. I'm very happy about that. And I like the way the group presented kasi may kwento na talagang inano sila. Just like the rest of you, yung kwento nito, medyo may cohesion, ano? Which is very good. So kudos to group number 2. And we'll continue next Monday, guys. And I'm going to post a video on the continuation of data types and data structure so that you can view it on your own. Total, medyo familiar na naman kayo sa R. And then it's just a continuation of the lecture on data structures, on lists. Then you have yung data frames, very important. And also matrix, which is very important also. Okay, so okay, so thank you so much. It was a good day, great day. Thank you so much for Group 6, Group 5, Group 3, Group 2. Great presentations. Since this is now available to all, buksan nyo siya, guys. Tapos i-run nyo rin, tingnan nyo. Just make sure that yung mga files na kasama dun sa ano nyo, guys, kung may refer kayo na CSV o Excel, make sure it's also posted in your group folder. And everything, guys, is available for everyone. Ano lang, guys, pakiusap na lang yung sa mga folders nyo, pakilagay report number 1. No? Ilagay nyo dun sa folder na report number 1 under your name. Para alam natin na those are for report number 1. Kasi may report number 2 pa, report number 3, etc. Okay, with that guys, salamat. Thank you so much. I'll stop.